When I was 3.5 years of age, my parents bought me for Christmas a Lionel train set. I love that train set and I used to run it all the time. In fact, one day I ran it so much that the transformer started smoking and then it began to melt. My dad picked up the transformer, threw it out into a snowbank, and I was just appalled. When my dad wasn't looking and calmed down, afraid the house was going to catch on fire, I went out, pulled it out of the snowbank, wrapped it with some electrical tape, and by golly, it still started working. As I grew a little bit older, we moved to an apartment house, and I became friends with one of the people who lived in that apartment house, and he had an American Flyer train set. And I took an immediate liking to that train set because the tracks had 2 rails instead of the Lionel set, which had 3 rails. So it was more realistic looking. It was also a little bit smaller, so living in a small apartment house, it was easier to build a nice sized layout and keep it under your bed than with the Lionel set. Well, I never got an American Flyer train set as I grew up. We were kind of poor at that time. And it wasn't until I was in late middle age when I was on eBay one day and I saw this American Flyer all-aboard train system developed by A.C. Gilbert in the mid-1960s. In fact, it was just a couple years before the company went bankrupt. And I took an immediate liking to it because I like the portability of that system. It consists of a number of 17-inch squares with the tracks affixed to the plastic square. And so it's easy to disassemble and store in a medium-sized box, and then you can put it together. And that's really nice if you don't have a whole lot of space to keep a layout. As you can see, I'm in my office here. And so there's not a whole lot of room for me to put a all-aboard train layout and keep it up the whole time. And moreover, I got a 3-year-old, so I just can't leave it out there all the time. Now, I've learned over the years, I've had a number of all-aboard train layouts, and I've learned over the years that there are some pros and cons to this system. One of the cons of the system, one of the disadvantages of the system, is that the radii of the track are pretty tight. So I'm running an Atlantic steam engine here, and I've been able to run some Pacific class 462 steam engines, but generally speaking, the larger steam engines, the radii are simply too tight. Another disadvantage is that the track itself is not very sturdy, and it will rust easily, so you have to be very careful where you store it. If it's a very humid environment, the track will rust easily. Another disadvantage is that since these were made in the 1960s, often what happens is the panels will warp a little bit, and then when you put them together, the connections between the panels will be a little bit rough and there'll be a bump in the track. So I always, when I put it together, I always try to make sure I can get the tracks meeting together as best as possible between the squares. Gilbert made 3 different major sets. They had what was called the introductory Pioneer set, the smallest one, which consisted of 6 panels where you could build an oval like that. Then they had a medium-sized set called the Champion, which included 8 panels with 2 turnouts or switches, you can see, a left and a right. And then their largest set was called the Westerner, and that included 3 turnouts and a crossing panel. You could make kind of a double layout based on what you see here. Another disadvantage of the all-aboard system was, although the scenery is really nice, there really wasn't a whole lot of room to put operating accessories there. Pardon me. Now, some of the advantages of this is, again, it's easy. If you're like me and you really like train layouts, but you don't have a lot of artistic ability, well, the scenery looks really good. Comes with houses and signposts and crossings and mountains and tunnels. So it's real easy to put together a nice looking layout. And in regard to the operating accessories, such as a magnetic crane or loaders, what I've done here is I just put some on the side. You see a Mystic Station and a barrel loader. Also, if you have a siding, there are some adapter pins and you can take the standard American Flyer track and hook it up to the Tankmaster track. I've also built layouts where I've actually put operating accessories right on the panels and wired them to the track. So this is the all-aboard American Flyer system, and at the end of this video I'll have a couple pictures of two other layouts that I've made. One was a Westerner, and one is a layout that I made with operating accessories hooked up to it. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe and have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye.